Here we are on the Great Orme. It's undeniably great, but why is it an orme? Where's the name come from?
It comes from a Norse word for worm, but the Victorians, I think, made it a little bit grander and made it sound a bit more impressive. So often it's referred to as the serpent or the sea monster's head.
The sea monster's head,
Yeah.
or the Great Orme, the Great Worm.
Yes.
Trevor, it's a place that's famed for its botany. I once drove all the way from Southampton here to see the dark red helleborine. I saw it.
Worth every mile.
It wasn't, no, I needed it on my orchid list. I was trying to see every orchid in the UK, and that's what brought me all the way here. But aside from a single species, botanically it's an interesting place.
Yeah, I mean, botanically there are over 700 species of flowering plants recorded here, and if you look behind us, Chris, we've got these, sort of acid mountains, which is the rest of Wales, and then completely different to that, this vast slab of limestone lying in the Irish Sea, surrounded on three sides by warm, hot sunshine, and this is just a completely different environment from anywhere else in Wales. So we get not only lots of different plants, but some really special plants as well, and a few that are found nowhere else in the world.
Fantastic. And in terms of maintaining it, grazing is very much a part of it.
Yes, the National Trust have bought Park Farm, and along with that came grazing rights to the rest of the headland. And so our new tenant is Dan Jones, and he has a flock of both Clean and Herdwick sheep.
Which Plant Life bought for him when he arrived
so
here.
So here's a conservation organisation buying sheep when many conservation organisations are concerned about the grazing pressure from too many sheep, but sheep in the right place doing a good job.
In the right place, doing the right thing for this habitat. This is an internationally important grassland. It doesn't occur anywhere else in Britain, this type of grassland. It's so important to keep that grass under control. It's about getting that balance, and sheep really are the best way of doing that. But we're not sort of smothering the whole of the Orme in sheep. Dan's coming out here every day, targeting his sheep, a sort of mob grazing, sort of living lawnmower, going in, highly targeted, doing the job, and then moving away and allowing the flowers to grow. And within 1 year, we've already seen a difference with parts of the Orme that were basically getting swamped with thick grass. We're starting to see some of these wonderful wildflowers coming back again.
Now, one of the things that we've been focusing on throughout the Bioblitz campaign is that in protected areas we do a very good job of looking after things, even if we've got enormous people pressure or other problems. In the wider countryside, we're struggling to keep hold. We're losing very badly. In terms of botany, when we peer into those managed or improved grasslands or the agricultural fields, it's a hard look, isn't it?
It's a very hard look. So one of those sort of intensively farmed pastures would be home to maybe a dozen species of flowering plant. Just relax the intensity of the pressure, the management pressure that we've got on that, and you can have 50, 60, 70 species growing in a single meadow. And that's the message that we're trying to get across, is that we've lost that colour from the landscape. 97% of our wildflower meadows have gone. And then people turn around to me and say, well, where have our bees gone? Where have our butterflies gone? Where have the flowers gone? That's the thing that's driving a lot of that loss. So if we can, these habitats are farmed habitats. Farming is absolutely essential to keep them here. It's just about bringing back that intensity just a little bit to allow these things to grow and flower and flourish.
And we are at a time where it's necessary for us to be critical of some farming measures. That's where we've got to, but we mustn't alienate all of the farmers, because some of them do a remarkable job with their headlands, encouraging these sorts of plants, and of course all the other biodiversity that goes with it.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many farms around the country where farming and wildlife is going they're both working with each other. Up in Cumbria, up in Scotland, north of Britain, all the way down through to Salisbury Plain, we've got farmers that are working really hard to preserve and encourage wildlife on their land, and it's about that understanding, like I was saying, about just pulling back the intensity of production. If we can do that on a large enough scale, and hopefully, with the opportunities that the new CAP reform will give us, post-Brexit, we've got an opportunity
CAP reform.
We are always optimistic that these things can happen, and let's hope that it can. But Plant Life is campaigning really hard around meadows and getting our flower-rich grasslands back into that landscape. And if we can put back some of the 7.5 million acres of wildflower meadow and grassland that we've lost, then then we'll be doing some good for the countryside again.
Okay. Binge grazing on the Orme, satisfying the visitors, and also maintaining, as you say, through agricultural practices, a great diversity of plants. We just need to see one then.
Shall I show you one of the rarest plants in Britain?
It's within reach, is it?
One of the rarest plants in Britain.
One of the rarest plants in Britain. We've got to see it. Okay.
You can see at least two.
Oh yes.
So this is Great Orme berry. It's our only native species of Cotoneaster.
Right.
And there are only 6 native wild plants left in Britain and indeed the world. So in fact it's one of our really rarest plants that we've got in the whole world.
Only 6 of these in the world.
As native plants. So what we've been doing is launching a rescue mission and collecting the seed, growing it on, and we've now got just over 70 plants out on the Orme, but there are 6 bushes that are the original ones that have been known here since recording began.
So it can be cultivated?
It can be cultivated, it's grown in gardens, and actually that was part of the picture. Some people thought it was a garden escape, had got out of gardens in Llandudno. For a long time we didn't know whether this plant was native or not.
Right.
So we looked at the genetics of it, the DNA of it, comparing it to all the similar species that grow over in Europe, and we found that this is indeed genetically different, and it is Great Orme berry, or Afal y Craig, which is apple of the cliffs in Welsh. So it's got its own Welsh name, which is another indication of a good old native species.
And it's got its little red apples on there at the moment. There are a few berries on there. 6 in the world. What a thing. Well, that's going to be the rarest.
You have to touch it, Chris. You have to touch it. You have to physically touch it for it to count.
Let me connect with that. That's remarkable. Well, that's going to be the rarest organism, the rarest plant certainly that we're going to see on our trip, isn't it? Without a shred of a doubt.
Yeah.